Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Electrified Outdoors. It's about 6 a.m. here in Mount Airy, Maryland. And if you're ever wondering about how a Rivian R1S with the all-terrain package performs in the snow, we're about to find out this morning. Not much snow on the ground, maybe about 3 inches, but it's still snowing, and we've got to take this truck back to the Rivian Service Center. So come on along for the ride and let's see how she performs. So we've got it in reverse, but the first thing we're going to do here is put this baby in snow mode, and it's already in snow mode. I'm going to dial down the regen to standard, and if you're finding that you're uncomfortable and it's slipping a little bit, you may want to dial it all the way down to the low setting on the regen. That'll prevent like wheel lockup and things like that. So let's go ahead and get rolling here. Now, if you're in an area where you frequently get snow, yeah, it's locking up a little bit, and that kind of thing, you definitely want to go with the all-terrain package, or if you want maximum efficiency, get yourself a second set of wheels. Get the all-terrain wheels and tires. They're going to perform a lot better on these slippery surfaces. Now, I can tell you the difference between the road wheel and tire and these all-terrains, and I feel quite a bit more planted. I feel like I have better traction with these all-terrain wheels and tires. Now, of course, if you're not doing that, like in the summertime, you might want to switch back to the road wheel and tire because the all-terrains do have a significant range penalty. But in this vehicle, it's not really that big of a deal. We have the Max Pack. So we've got a ton of range, and the hit to range from the all-terrain wheel and tire setup is not really that significant because we already had a huge amount of range to begin with. But all right, we're getting a little clearer here, and I expect the roads will be quite a bit clearer when we get out to the main areas. I like to echo the old saying that just because you have four-wheel drive doesn't mean you can't slip and slide. So still be mindful if you're in these conditions and you're going hard on the accelerator, you can still slip and slide even though you have powered all four wheels. But with these all-terrains, it almost feels like the snow is not even there. If you're in a northern climate, for example, we're here in Maryland, but if you're up further north, I would definitely have this all-terrain wheel and tire package, at least in the winter months. And aside from when we pulled out of the driveway, it seems to be doing pretty well just with the standard regen. But I tell you, there really is nothing like a Rivian in the snow. So if you live in a place where you get snow and you get it often, it's a Rivian is an awesome vehicle to have. This road always stays covered because it's kind of at a low point, and there's a lot of trees here, so we don't get a ton of sunlight in this area. So we have to be careful, but yeah, it's real easy to spin them loose though still. I don't want to get too crazy and run into somebody's vehicles. Yep. It handles really well. As soon as I let off the accelerator, the traction comes right back. So Rivian has really engineered this truck extremely well for traction in all different types of conditions. So There's no, in my opinion, there's no better vehicle for all-purpose use. So all different types of surfaces, snow, off-road, gravel. There's no better vehicle when it comes to all-purpose use than a Rivian. And it's not even close, folks. So let's see how the main roads are out here. Yeah, it looks pretty clear. They did pre-treat a lot of these roads. They dumped all the salt brine down, so now one of the things you really get to see as we're driving here in the dark is the second gen headlights. So the headlights actually turn. When I turn the wheel, they turn in the direction I'm turning the wheel to light my path. So aside from the driver assistance features, the lighting is dramatically improved on Gen 2 here. And those are two really big reasons to upgrade. So if you're looking to upgrade from Gen 1 to Gen 2, or if you're just now looking into a Rivian, the second generation is going to have that advanced driver assist, plus it's also going to have the new lighting, which I think is really, really good. You know, we are in Maryland, so unfortunately a lot of folks in this state aren't really good at driving in the snow, and they drive like well, I won't go there. Now, one of the things I'm going to point out, and it really doesn't have anything to do with snow, it's just cold weather in general, is when you first set out, especially if the car has been sitting outside all night, your efficiency is going to be really, really low. So let me go ahead and look. So my last 15 minutes efficiency is showing, it's actually pretty good. It's showing 1.87. But it's not abnormal to see a really low efficiency number when you're just getting started, because the truck is working really hard to both heat the cabin and also to heat the battery, to get the battery where it wants to be for the best efficiency. But the roads out here, the main roads, are mostly clear, but it is still snowing, and the back roads are just a little bit dicey, not horrible at all. And funny thing, I actually had the truck in the low ride height and I didn't realize it, and I just now adjusted it. So be mindful of your ride height if you're driving in the snow. Probably want to have it in at least standard, and if it's really deep, you can raise it up to the high ride height, and that'll give you a little more ground clearance. Not sure if you guys can see, but snow is still coming down at a pretty good clip. Unfortunately, our windows are a little bit dirty. Oh, we do have windshield washer. Okay. It's pretty amazing that the windshield washers work, and the front of the truck is pretty much snow covered. So I'm just pulling up our battery temperature, and you can see this truck sat outside all night, and the battery is currently at 39 degrees Fahrenheit. Our regen is limited, so we have, I would say, probably about 25 to 30% of the bottom of the regen bar that's missing. So we have about only 50 to 60% of our regen available. But it still feels like we have a reasonable amount of regen. I do have it in the normal regen mode. We have about 69% state of charge. No problem at all with the cabin heating. I have it set to 68, and it feels like 68 in here, and it was able to achieve that pretty quickly. It melted all the ice off the front windows. So I don't have any complaints. I know some folks online have said that there's issues getting heat. I didn't need to crank it up to high or anything like that. If you are having an issue where the truck is not producing heat, you can set the temperature all the way to the highest setting, and that will call for max heating. And that should get you heat, and then you can just adjust it back down. Another thing that sometimes helps is the soft reboot, the infotainment reboot. I'll put a link down in the video description for my video on how to do the soft and hard reset procedures, if you're interested in that. The only complaint I have about the all-terrain setup, other than, of course, the hit to the efficiency, is you do get some more tire noise. Now, this doesn't have a tremendous amount of mileage on it. When I picked it up, we had about 1,600 miles on the odometer of this truck. This is a 2025. But we do have a significant amount of tire noise. There's no vibration coming through the steering wheel, but I can just hear the drone of those all-terrain tires. So if something like that bothers you, you may want to go with the road tire set and maybe use an all-terrain setup in the wintertime or when you go off-road. The other thing, folks, is the interior of the Rivian is just a really nice place to be, whether it's a hot summer day or a really cold winter morning. And you have a lot of different things to keep you comfortable. So, of course, you have the climate control, but I'm going to touch the heated seats here and turn those on. And you also have a heated steering wheel as well. One thing I wanted to mention that a lot of folks don't, I didn't realize it, but a lot of folks don't realize is that on Gen 2, the front radar unit for the driver assistance is actually heated. I'll put a picture up on the screen if I can find it. And I noticed this yesterday, and I noticed that there were only short periods of time where the driver assistance was unavailable when I was driving in some pretty heavy snow. And that's because it just needed to melt off whatever was blocking the radar. So Rivian has really thought of pretty much everything. Most of you may know that electric vehicles in general struggle when the temperatures get really cold, and that's because they have to heat the battery, they have to heat the cabin, and unlike an internal combustion vehicle, EVs don't produce a lot of excess heat. They are so efficient that they don't produce all that extra heat. But unfortunately, because of that, they have to generate heat to warm the battery and warm the cabin on these cold winter days. So the heat pump helps reduce that loss in the wintertime, which is huge. I don't know about you guys, but I love the way things look when it snows. Trees, all the landscaping. Of course, it's probably not that easy to see it right now because it's dark. And one little extra tidbit, folks, I noticed when I went to the Rivian Service Center in Gaithersburg yesterday that there were a lot less vehicles there. My prior visit in December, the place was absolutely packed, wall to wall with cars. There was no place to park. And now it seems like there's quite a bit more room. So I'm guessing that Rivian has probably worked through a lot of their service backlog, and they've also been able to move a lot of vehicles with all the incentives that they've been offering. And speaking of incentives, Rivian is offering some really good incentives right now. Also, if you're interested in a new Rivian, you can use our referral code, which I'll put down in the video description, and that'll get you some rewards. Rivian had changed it. It was 750 points, and now it's, I believe, 500. But still, that's $500 you can spend on accessories. You can also put that towards a new vehicle. And I believe they're good for 2 years. I'll also put the program terms down in the video description as well. But these are just awesome vehicles. So many different uses. They do all these different things and they do them well. It has good range, though I do wish the R1T had a bit more range for towing. But the R1S, I mean, with the Max Pack, maxes out at, I believe, 410 miles. That's a really good amount of range for an EV, especially for an SUV. And they just do so many things, and they do them well. You have a sports car, you have an off-road vehicle. You just have so many different personalities, I would say, in a Rivian. So we're getting ready to turn into the service center here. It is starting to get light. It's about 6:43 a.m. now. And we'll see, I'll show you. I don't know if you're going to be able to see the adaptive lighting. Yep, can you see the lighting, how it's moving that way and this way? When I make a right-hand turn, you can see the light, and when I straighten the wheel, it comes back to center. So that adaptive lighting is really a huge safety feature. Still quite a few vehicles in here. We'll take a ride around. There is a charging stall available. I don't think there's anybody in the service center at this hour. Still quite a few vehicles here, but there are some open parking spots, and that just wasn't the case back in December. There was absolutely no place to park. And it looks like we're in here competing with the snowplow. Well, that's going to wrap this one up, folks. I hope you enjoyed this nice winter morning drive here in the Rivian R1S. And it definitely gets my seal of approval for winter weather performance. And I guarantee you, if you get this all-terrain package, you will not be disappointed in how this vehicle performs. With all that said, remember to like. It helps others find our content just a little bit easier on YouTube. Click on subscribe, and then hit that bell so you get notified anytime we add new content. And as always, hug the people you love every chance you get, and we'll see you next time.